a spooky, silent intro on this Halloween. Welcome to District Sentinel Radio, the newscast of record for the left. I'm Sam Sachs.
I'm Sam Knight.
We're broadcasting out of the Sentinel Fort in Washington, D.C. Check out the website, districtsentinel.com. Right before we started recording, we've got audio issues figured out, we think. We'll know after this recording when the podcast posts. But we had a fatal computer error right before we were about to record, which has limited our ability to play audio clips and video clips, including our lovely intro that goes so well with our show. So we're going to do it quietly today. We were going to scrap the live stream altogether and just release the podcast, but we've got a special guest here. We've got our first police officer in studio, folks. Officer Leica.
For those of you who aren't watching the stream, I will describe the situation to you. We have a pug in a little outfit dressed as it's a pig outfit, so it's a cop.
Yeah,
the dog is dressed as
Leica
a cop.
Leica is dressed as a pig today. Happy Halloween.
It's a cop. We wanted to maybe put a little police hat on her, but that might have been too on the nose.
Yeah.
Turn around. Can we get her in the
Leica, come on.
In the shot?
You know what, maybe we can get her in the mouth cam here.
All right, let's try to get like on the mouth cam. I'm trying to get like on the. There she is.
Go.
There she is. But she doesn't like the
She
hood.
hates it when her ears are covered.
But we got to do
it for a little bit.
If you are not watching it, truly sorry, people who are only listening. But you should go. Well, we might put that video up.
Yeah, we'll put it up. Where are you going?
At
Where are you going?
point,
Okay, stay here.
It's a dog in
All
a
right.
pig costume. Why would we not put it on our social media? We would be stupid not to.
Yes, completely stupid. What do we got? We got the midterms coming up. 6 days away.
6 days.
We're gonna have my computer
7
ready
days
to go.
till the 2020 election starts.
We'll have my computer ready to go by then. Hopefully, we'll have it ready to go by tomorrow again to give you our sweet graphics and video clips and stuff. But we're gonna be here live streaming from 6 p.m. when the first polls close in like Indiana and shit. And in Kentucky, I think.
Indiana and Kentucky.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you've looked at a map recently. They're not the furthest east.
No.
Interesting that they
They
close early.
They're like, let's get this shit over with here. We're going to be reporting there, and I don't know how late we're going to go. We'll probably go pretty late. We'll go definitely till after the California polls close to see what's going on there. Not sure we'll make it to Hawaii. The congressional elections in Hawaii.
We might not make it to Hawaii. California might be the last, although we might stay up for our boy Don Young in Alaska,
maybe,
depending on how that goes. We probably won't.
This is going to be a free stream, so tell your friends to tune in, even if they're not subscribers, to have watch parties at your house. That'd be fun. Also, on Monday, right before the midterms, we're going to be releasing a zine that's midterm themed. That's going to be it's going to be like a companion piece for you while you watch the midterms. So it won't just be full of interesting articles, but it'll be kind of interactive.
Interactive, yeah.
So while you're watching it with us, you can use the zine to follow along.
Probably have some sort of scorecard in there.
Yeah,
maybe
like
a drinking game bingo. That's too cliche though. Everyone.
My dang headphone wire is stuck here.
Dang headphone wire is stuck.
All right.
Was there something else to say about things at the top of the show?
So.
I don't think so.
Pretty much
we
about
covered
it.
The botched music. We covered the dog's costume.
Yeah. Are people flipping out in the chat room right now about how eerie the intro was?
No, people are gushing over Leica.
Good. I'm glad we had Leica on to taper over our flaws here. All right. We got some haikus to read later with no haiku music. But we'll still do it.
That's the worst part. The haiku music is everyone's favorite.
We're going to slowly, as the show goes on, discover what we miss most about not having the computer to record the show. All right. It's Wednesday, October 31st, 2018. Here's the news.
Amid increasing scrutiny on the government of Saudi Arabia, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo called for a ceasefire in Yemen. Pompeo made the appeal in a statement issued late last night, but if you parse the diplomatic language, the administration appears resolute in their support of Saudi Arabia. Pompeo's statement first calls for an end to, quote, missile and UAV strikes from Houthi-controlled areas into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Subsequently, the statement continues, coalition airstrikes must cease in all populated areas in Yemen. So, in other words, the end of the Saudi government's slaughter in Yemen depends on the Houthis' actions, first and foremost. Since the Saudi-led coalition invaded Yemen in 2015, at least 6,660 civilians have died and 10,560 have been injured. That's according to the UN. The majority of casualties were caused by airstrikes, which, of course, only one side has air power. It's the Saudi side. The total number killed is also likely to rise thanks to an ongoing, now partial blockade, causing widespread misery. Last week, UN official Mark Lowcock said that 14 million Yemenis, half the country, is at risk of famine because of the Saudi blockade. He cited stats from one aid agency estimating that, quote, 130 children under 5 were dying every day from extreme hunger and disease, nearly 50,000 little children during the course of a year. May their screams haunt defense contractor lobbyists in their sleep as long as they live. The recent increase in pressure on Saudi Arabia isn't because of its genocidal operation in Yemen per se, of course. Supporting atrocities is par for the course for the U.S. government, but the Saudis may have crossed the line when murdering Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi at their consulate in Istanbul, something the Saudi government finally admitted to, even going as far as admitting it was premeditated. Today, Turkish prosecutors said that Khashoggi was strangled as soon as he entered the consulate by the infamous 15-man hit squad, and that the journalist was dismembered and disposed of after he was murdered.
Yeah, this certainly looks like it could be related to Khashoggi's killing, this call now to end the war in Yemen. Certainly, other news is related to Khashoggi's killing here. Senators Marco Rubio, Todd Young, Cory Gardner, and Rand Paul, and Dean Heller, all Republican senators, wrote a letter to Trump calling on the administration to halt talks with Saudi Arabia over sharing nuclear energy. The letter directly referenced Khashoggi's slaying. Moving on now, here's how $1.6 billion gets wasted at the Defense Department in the service of war profiteers. Special Inspector General for Afghan Reconstruction, or SIGAR, released an audit Wednesday of the Pentagon's advisor program in Afghanistan. The department has embedded U.S. soldiers, Pentagon civilians, and private contractors into roles within the Afghan Ministries of Defense and Interior. The stated purpose is to bolster Afghan security forces, but according to SIGAR, there's no measurable way laid out to determine if these advisors are actually doing anything, and the U.S. government is spending a shit ton of money on them. Specifically, defense contractor DynCorp. It's been awarded 4 contracts totaling over $1.6 billion. That's a lot of money for a contractor, $1.6 billion.
Yeah, we could use some of that for
we're
laptop
talking F-35
cords.
Money here. Anyways,
no, F-35 money is way more.
Yeah, it's way more. DynCorp is providing advisors to the Afghan Defense and Interior Ministries. 2 of those contracts worth about $420 million.
Not nice.
Yeah. Those contracts are still ongoing. DynCorp is still providing these advisors to these ministries. And yet, those contracts, according to SIGAR, quote, do not have measurable performance standards against which to assess the contractor's performance. That's not just a recipe for getting fleeced. That's also against federal regulations. Agencies are required to assess contractor performances through stated measurable goals to the maximum extent possible. But when it comes to forking $1.6 billion to DynCorp to put some bodies in a couple Afghan ministries, the Defense Department is just like, I'm sure y'all are good for it. We don't need to keep an eye on that. SIGAR recommended that the Defense Department begin holding contractors accountable through performance standards. The Pentagon concurred. I'm sure they'll get right on that. Though it is not a bad idea when you're asking a private corporation to basically manage an entire war, the Afghanistan war. All right, time to take a break for the newscast, and we've got one haiku to get to. Sam, you want to do the honors?
Sure. I was going to imitate the piano tune and sing it, but there you go. This is for Andrew. an America rotting like a banana that smells like ass mold.
Thank you, Andrew. That really describes our state of affairs pretty accurately. Thank you to all the new subscribers, patreon.com/District Sentinel. We begin the second half of our newscast with a reminder to never praise Democrats for doing good things, because they will disappoint you the very next week. Case in point, Senator Joe Donnelly, who's locked in a close re-election fight in Indiana. Donnelly had the courage to come out against Trump's Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, but he's also shameless enough now to support the president's open fascism. During a debate on Tuesday night with his Republican rival, Donnelly was asked if he would support repealing birthright citizenship, and Donnelly went on to brag about how many times he's voted for the border wall, how much money he's invested in border security, and how Lindsey Graham has legislation out that needs to be looked at, that needs to be reviewed.
That is the pro-birthright, the anti-birthright legislation that Lindsey Graham is recycling, that he put forth a few years ago, and he found a copy of it suddenly yesterday, rushing it to his press office, and Joe Donnelly. He's on board.
We had a video of this, but the computer's down, so I had to describe the clip there. But
not bad.
Yeah, here we have the racist, the fascist president now proposing stripping non-white people of their citizenship, like textbook precursor here to fascism. And Joe Donnelly's like, let me review that. Let me get back to you on that. He's awful. There was another clip earlier in the debate that was just as cringeworthy that I'm sure a lot of people have seen, in which Donnelly's talking, I guess, about like the multiculturalism in his office. He's like, I have an Indian American who works for me, but he does great work.
Yeah. He said, but.
Yeah. It's even worse than the McCain, Obama's not a Muslim, he's a family man quote. It was really bad.
The worst thing about that clip is he says it twice. First he says, basically he says the same thing twice. First he says it about an Indian American staffer of his, then a black staffer.
Yeah, and you hope that maybe he just slipped up and accidentally said but then he says it again the second time.
The second time you're like, say and. But, Joe Donnelly, fuck you, dude.
Jesus, Joe.
We're going to find out early on Tuesday, I guess. As we mentioned at the top of the show, Indiana closing polls at 6. And I guess we'll see early on in the night if Joe Donnelly goes up or down. I got to say, personally, don't really give a shit if he loses. Best Dems can hope is to take back the House. And fuck Joe Donnelly.
Yeah. I'm guessing we'll have more on Senator Donnelly on Friday's Sentinel Cast in the garbage can segment.
That too. So I was waiting. I was waiting for our news wipe sound, and then it never came. Finally, a rare reminder today that cops can actually face legal consequences for brutality. Today, the Justice Department said 2 officers from Springfield, Massachusetts, will face federal civil rights charges for beating 2 Latino teens in 2016. The officers are named Greg Bigda and Stephen Vigno. They're both 48 years old and white. According to charging documents, most of the violence was inflicted by Bigda, who, quote, kicked one juvenile suspect in the head, spat on him, and said, "Welcome to the white man's world." Bigda also threatened both teens while engaging in this thuggery. To one, Bigda promised, quote, to crush his skull, an expletive, get away with it, expletive, kill him in the parking lot, charge him with killing Kennedy, an expletive, make it stick, and stick an expletive kilo of coke in the juvenile's pocket and put the juvenile away for expletive 15 years.
Just a few bad apples here.
I can't help but think Bigda would have gotten away with beating a Latinx minor if he was only slightly more subtle about it. If he didn't say all these things that could be added in a charging document to lay out his intent. The best part of this story, Bigda and Vigno are both being charged under Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 242, and both are being charged with an offense that led to bodily injury involving a dangerous weapon. So according to the FBI, that means they could both face up to 10 years in prison. So
damn.
How great would it be if these pigs rotted in jail? I mean, as long as we have jails, we may as well film with cops or try to.
Not you, Leica. We're not talking about you. All right, that is.
I thought you were gonna go to mouth cam there.
I should have gone
to mouth cam there.
Very concerned pig right here. Very concerned pig.
Got a close up on Leica, who backs the blue, who's very concerned about the officers who are being charged with just doing their job.
All right, what's going on in the chat room?
Luke says, "I'm sorry, WTF Bigda, what a name." Joe R says, "I've literally licked Lindsey Graham's shoes. I loved it." Joe D. Gregory says he's a goner. I think also referring to Joe D. Directing Titan says, "Good afternoon, Sam's piss pals, Leica, Gritty. We have people imitating the music.
Nice.
We've got a lot of pro Leica stuff, as I said." Stifling Luxury says the German-bred discourse needs to be revised. Deutsches Brot ist geil, sehr geil, gute Bäckerei, Sams, I think.
Forgot to mention also, we've got some new studio decorations, a T-shirt just above Sam Knight's head.
That's right. Should I pull it down?
Alex, yeah, sure, pull it down.
All right, I'm pulling it down here. That's why I'm not talking.
We got the Alex Jonestown Massacre provided some merchandise that we now can have in the studio here.
Should we get me on the mouth cam here, getting a close up?
There we go.
There we go. I went to the show.
That's a damn good shirt. It features a concerned Alex Jones
damn
face.
Good shirt. And thank you very much for this shirt. And it was a great show. Great show.
Sorry, I missed
They
out.
played Bella Ciao and the All You Fascists Bound to Lose, their version of the Woody Guthrie. It ripped.
Nice.
And it was fun. Good show. Good shirt.
Cool. All right. Well, let's
Alex Jones.
Let's wrap things up there. Call the rant line 202-684-6108. Sponsors of the show include the Congressional Dish podcast hosted by Jen Briney. Find it at congressionaldish.com. Another sponsor, levelnews.org. The newscast is back tomorrow. We're here in D.C. so that you don't have to be.